Fellas, we outside the club this episode, but it's okay. My lady gonna let you in, man. Y'all ready? Are you gonna let us in?
I mean, I can't even get into some of these clubs.
77, man.
It's a metaphorical club. I know it's a literal club. It's just not that kind of club.
You're gonna say on this episode, you're gonna say, I can't even get inside the club. Damn.
Not some of these clubs I can't. Okay. If I'm being honest.
You think we'll be let in?
No. Not with this tomfoolery.
If we was no. I'm talking about if we was back in the day.
Oh, absolutely not. What?
You said absolutely.
No.
Jane Adams wasn't letting you in the door?
Hell no.
Damn. No. Jane, Bertha Palmer wasn't.
Bertha Palmer would have kicked you to the curb.
First of all, what you doing outside the house? No. I'm sorry.
She said, all right, brokey.
No. I feel like we got to start this shit. No, we ain't going to start over.
No, we're not starting over.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is. We just playing.
I feel like my headphones are too low, no?
No. I feel like it's... I mean, I don't know. I don't know about yours.
You don't know. So turn me up a little bit.
Up?
Yeah, thank you so much. There
right there?
Perfect.
That's good.
I'm not trying to hear the wind whistling through the windows are open.
Yeah, it's
It is summertime. But before we get into that, if you're here for the first time, welcome. Mm-hmm. I would say listen to the rest of the episode before you judge what just happened.
Yeah, first minute 30.
And we're so happy you're here. If this is not your first time, welcome back. We're happy to have you back. We've got a really fun episode today. But before we get into it, please, wherever you're listening, make sure you're hitting whatever plus sign button. I don't know. There's too many buttons. You could be listening anywhere. You could be on YouTube. You could be on Spotify, which if you're watching video on Spotify, that's a new little thing we got going on.
Yes.
You could be on Apple. Most of you are either Spotify or Apple.
Yeah.
So if you could just, give a little thumbs. I don't fucking know. You know what to do.
You know how to support.
Don't piss me off, okay?
Shout out to our new listeners.
But like in a loving way. These are throwbacks to me.
Yeah.
The first season.
Yeah, man. I like that. A lot of people did.
Listen,
a lot of people did. Except for that one lady.
We're now a registered business. We can't really.
But do that change who we are, though?
It changes how I present myself to the public a little.
Yeah,
I
but
can't
they know
be cussing people out.
They're going to go back in archives.
Yeah,
So
if you're willing to go back and listen to 300 plus episodes, that's on you.
Well, now
at that point.
Well, now they're going to be like, well, shit. Y'all, some of them was a treat. Stay to the end of that episode for some of the old school ones. Yeah.
You had to bleep me out so many times.
I did.
You did have to bleep me out because
some of them it just ended in silence and laughter.
It was the back of the bus segment of the episode.
Damn, we need to bring that back.
Yeah, no, we don't.
Yes, we do.
Nope.
Back of the bus was crazy.
It was insane.
Look, that's what we should call Hot Take Tuesday.
Back of the bus?
Back of the bus.
It feels like the back of the bus.
If
you're not familiar, if you don't follow us on Instagram, we do the segment called Hot Take Tuesday. Yeah. We haven't done it in a while, but where we present a hot take to the audience and then we ask people for their hot takes, and then Dario and myself, mostly Dario, will respond to people's wild hot takes. And people have submitted some insane things.
Wild ones, man.
So
do you got any hot takes?
I have so many hot takes.
Let's talk to the people then. What's up?
You want one right now on the spot?
Just shit. Go ahead.
I think people that sneeze out loud are just people that want attention. I think you can control the sound of your sneeze, and I absolutely don't need to hear you being that loud.
I mean, but like...
No.
Here's the thing. You can't control that.
No, you can.
You're
just
an
attention seeker.
Well, here's the thing. I think the attention seekers are the ones that do that shit. Yeah, that shit. You do it again.
Correct. I think just be regular.
Here's the thing.
Do a little.
You trying to be cute?
Sneeze into your elbow and just be regular.
I don't care who you are.
I've never been like, oh my god, they're
oh my
so
god, that
cute.
is the cutest thing. I've never said that.
It's almost as bad as like someone driving with the music blasting.
Oh
like I've never been like, that is so hot. Like I've never been a panty dropper. Not a single person. No one has ever taken off their underwear because someone was driving by with loud music.
Nah.
You know what I mean?
Not in the Toyota Corolla.
Not when you blast. Not in anything.
First of all, your windshield gonna fall out.
The what?
The windshield.
Oh.
Your shit rattling. You need new exhaust pipes. That ain't cool.
That is not
cool. I don't know. We can hear all your insides. Look, that's a hot take. That's a good hot take.
What do you have one?
I think this ain't really no hot take. And this is shout out to C-Dot, man. Chicago Department of Transportation. I don't think C-Dot really give a damn about these potholes.
Don't want to shout them out.
No, well, look, I'm at least get some done. 18th Street is horrible.
Yeah.
18th Street is becoming like the landmine of potholes.
Yeah, there's so many.
Yes.
That bridge, you know, that part of the
That's what I'm talking about.
bridge? Yeah.
The bridge is just crazy. And here's the thing.
They fix it and then it immediately what are we doing? Like putty?
Right.
Like, is it Play-Doh? Like, I'm so confused.
Fix that. You know what I'm saying?
Have like, isn't it called asphalt? Like, I don't just put the shit down.
It's somebody asphalt shit because like they not fixing it.
Somebody asphalt. That was a good one. Give yourself a coin. Give yourself a coin for that one. We had a really fun week.
We did.
We started off the week with dinner at STK, which we were invited to try out their 7 C's menu.
Yeah, boy, they had a lot of C's.
It was a lot of C's.
Here's the thing.
It was good. Here's my honest opinion.
Yeah.
If I was paying for that from my own pocket,
yeah,
I probably wouldn't.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a pricey menu.
Yeah.
But so is STK.
Yeah.
If you're going there, you know what to expect.
I mean, who buying the whole thing? You know what I'm saying?
Shit, I don't know.
Yeah, but I will say this: we had a discussion. Can y'all name all of the oceans? Here's the thing.
I couldn't.
Yeah, I did. And I was right. Sarah looked it up, and I was right. Can y'all name?
I mean, I haven't thought about the oceans probably since the 7th grade. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I haven't actively thought about. Like, I know there's 7, and I know 8, 6. Damn.
Yeah. See, you
4.
No.
5.
Yes. Fuck. And the 5th one was added. See, now y'all know the answer.
Well, here's the thing. I haven't like actively thought about. Like, I know about Pacific, Atlantic. The North Pole. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I know that there's 5
oceans now.
I just haven't thought about them in so long.
See, that's where I come in at being a nerd. I don't think about it, but I just know about that shit because I be watching.
I know.
See, I watch that stuff. You don't.
Yeah. No, that's not true. I sometimes I do.
You don't be locked in a Discovery Channel like I do.
No, I don't. You're right.
Yeah. I search things. This ancient shit.
You're a real nerd.
Yeah. Well, ancient history nerd and Chicago nerd.
Yeah.
I'm starting to like. You know what history I'm starting to like is New York. Not that I'm starting to like it, but New York got a lot of gems. I be following this one girl, the Megan Daly. She basically do what we do, and I think from looking at her, she's a host for a documentary type show. So she's like a major host, I feel like. She got like 300,000 followers on Instagram alone, TikTok alone. So, but she does exactly what we do. Or maybe I got it the other way around. Like we could have started at the same time. But she be giving some nuggets on there. And I want to collab with her. The Megan Daly. If you are listening to this, hey.
Why would she be?
I'm going to send it to her. I'm going to tag her.
Okay.
What's up? You know what I mean?
And then we also had breakfast with one of our friends. His name is Kyle. We actually met him because he started following the podcast like early on when we started.
Yeah,
and
the couch is back, baby.
He's from Chicago. He lives in California, and a couple times a year he'll come here with his family. And so we went out to breakfast. For the first time, we went to the Roby, which I love that building, but I've never been inside. And I was like, I kind of want to see what's inside. Let's go to the Roby Cafe, and it was good.
Yeah. It was good.
That's good.
That's what I'm gonna give him. It was good.
That's good.
Yeah.
My fruit was moldy, but
I knew you was going. I knew.
They did take it off the bill.
Yeah, they did.
But it was my fault for ordering seasonal fruit that came out to be like cantaloupe. It's whatever. What is seasonal fruit? In Chicago in March? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Apple? No, not apples. Not apples.
Be honest with you, man. Seasonal fruit is anything you get your hands on.
No.
If this dog knock over this camera, I swear to God.
He's not. He's sleeping.
Yeah, he knocked out.
We also went to the Pritzker party for the elections on Tuesday.
Now, that was crazy.
That was
to be in the room.
Yeah.
You know what? I feel like now it was good to be there, right? And to be a part of history. It would have hit had he had some opposition. He ain't had no opposition.
Yeah.
But
it's like it was like a party for the entire Democratic Party.
Yeah, that's what they made it out to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
because then they moved over to Juliana's
party. Their party. And then, everybody was going over there to Juliana.
Governor, yeah.
Everybody was rolling over there.
Yeah.
We met our neighbor was up in there.
I know.
That was wild to see our neighbor there.
Yeah.
That was crazy. I was like, what? Man, them drinks was hitting too. Early for me.
Not for me.
Yeah, no, you don't drink. But
that's correct.
They were smacking for me, boy. I remember
they were free.
You know when you start seeing people, when you start seeing people and you be like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like it was like
I getting drunk at a at a Pritzker party. It was not
not on your bingo
not on
card.
my bingo card.
Hey, look,
personally.
it wasn't on mine, but look, we here.
And then immediately the next morning, we went to the White Sox food preview for the season, which was so cool. They have some really cool food coming up.
White Sox have the best food. Now, I did some.
White Sox has the absolute best food.
They do, opinion-wise. But they lost the award. I just found this out.
I'm shocked.
You're right. Well, they didn't just lose the award. Actually, the Megan Daly, the girl from New York, the same day we had our tasting, New York Mets had theirs. And apparently...
Fuck the Mets.
Sorry, New York. Sorry, New York. Apparently, they won 3 years in a row best food.
I don't believe that.
In baseball. I mean, now...
But you know what it is? It might be because the food at the right field isn't like accessible in all of the areas. Like some of the food is like club only. Some of the food is... I don't think
it's like that at all ballparks. You know what I mean? But I feel like you have to have some exclusivity.
No, but I'm saying like maybe the award is like what is available to the public.
No, because it's all of it is available to the public. Like you just got to walk around to the other side of the ballpark if you're trying to do that. That's the thing.
No, but isn't there stuff that's like club exclusive, like inside of like you got to buy more expensive tickets to like eat specific food? Like you have to go into specific areas to eat certain foods.
DK Kaplan.
I don't know.
DB Kaplan, I believe it is.
Kaplan. I don't know, but the food, even the stuff that's like level 100, level 300, like all those, it was really, really great.
Man, them corn dogs.
Yeah. And they had some because we have a new Japanese player on the team.
Right.
They had like Japanese inspired foods and some of like his favorite foods.
Yeah.
That they added to the menu, which was really cool.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a nice touch.
Really cool to see them catering towards, like making him feel real good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To be honest with you, I learned something there. I didn't know that they lock in with players like that.
Me neither.
I didn't know that they ask them, hey man, I mean,
what do you like?
Yeah, I can kind of see that being a thing because like, you're gonna have a new fan base pop up. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have a new fan base pop up and probably want to, eat food there. Right. So it just blew my mind that they actually catered it.
Yeah, and they had like a Japanese interpreter. If any of the news stations that were there wanted to talk to a Japanese interpreter, they could do that.
Food is good though.
We also did a historic site roundtable, which was really cool. We were at the Peck Home
press conference.
It was a round with a congressman, and we were talking about the importance of historic sites and why they matter. And it was such a cool conversation. Basically, they're trying to get the Peck House, landmark status, and they're kind of having a little bit of a difficulty. They're putting in the application soon, but it is such a significant site because there's just so much history in that home itself, and also in the surrounding area because they owned 100+ acres. So. If you're interested in learning more about that, I'm actually going to add some of that information in the show notes if you want to scroll down and learn a little bit more about it because it is.
He was an abolitionist.
More than that,
he was an artist.
Yeah, he was an artist abolitionist, and he was part of the Underground Railroad movement that really, at the time he was breaking the law. Like he was putting his life and his family's life in danger to help people, and so it's really important to save these kinds of sites. So. That was really interesting to be a part of. And then we rounded up our week with going to Lyric to see Último Sueño de Frida Diego.
Boy.
Which was one of the best shows that I have seen in terms of opera.
Yeah.
Only because one, it's the person that wrote the opera, this is her first show.
Yeah.
And second of all,
was her first show?
That was her first show. She has accolades within the opera. Like she's worked in the industry for a while, but this is the first show she's ever written. And the set blew my mind. The story was incredible. Like altogether, it was just like such a cool experience.
Here's the thing, because I agree. As Siri is just like listening to everything I'm saying right now. What is she doing? Like, stop. Anyway, as much as the set was good as it was, the storytelling was just amazing to me. I was locked in.
Yeah.
Like locked in to what was going on and like the storytelling. It was just, and you're right. I don't want to take nothing away from set design, but
to give you an idea, you move from the underworld to the real world,
Yeah.
and like the set transition like shifts
it moves.
upwards, and like you go to the blue house with Casa Azul, which is like
That was
Frida and
underneath
Diego's
this
house.
graves.
It was just like beautiful,
Well
and like
done.
the music was incredible.
Yes.
It was funny.
Yes.
It was like sad. It was just so.
It was a good angle on their relationship.
It could have been like an hour longer, and I would have happily sat
I
there.
feel like they probably was in the discussion rooms like we can't hold people hostage here.
It was so good.
Yeah, it was good.
You get an insight into their relationship, and
what's cool about it is they don't really talk about the relationship, but they talk about it.
Yeah,
but like
it's like her struggle of like does she
dealing
want to
with
go
going
back
with him
and the pain, or her art, and it was fascinating.
Well, I
loved it.
I want to ruin it for y'all.
Yeah, and here's the cool thing about Lyric is if you're trying to go the same day, usually closer to the time of the show, you can get tickets for like $30.
Cheap.
Like I'm not even like we're lucky that they invite us to these shows, and we're so grateful. But like their tickets aren't you can get like affordable tickets, and if you have. If you're a student or if you're a teacher, or they offer so many ways for people to like be able to go to these shows, and this is one that I feel like I would encourage everyone to go see.
Charlamagne got it wrong. Timothy Chalamet got it wrong.
Oh my God, that room was packed. I mean, there wasn't like an empty seat. It was
packed.
Every show that we've gone to this season has been packed.
And he talking about people ain't be dressing up.
Everyone's
people be putting that shit on
theme.
People be putting that shit on.
Yeah,
the lady had a veil on. She was walking around with a veil.
It was, and here's the thing: that's for every show. Like people dress to theme. People are dressed up. I
remember. I
think it's just like such an incredible art.
It is. I remember the first time we went to a show, and I saw this dude who had a sparkly jacket on.
Oh my God!
And I was like. I did not know this was this.
Yeah.
I didn't. You see it on TV. You see people doing it, but like being there, I was like, I am underdressed.
And
I'm underdressed.
Like we're so lucky that we live in a city that has such a like phenomenal opera scene.
Yeah, that's the fashion scene too.
I mean, it's just like so. I don't know. I just love going there. The building is beautiful. The theater is beautiful. They have the best chocolate chip cookie.
Ooh, that brownie. Oh my
incredible.
God, that brownie was smacking.
Yeah,
boy, we didn't talk y'all ear
I know. I'm sorry. We did a lot this week, but I'm excited to get into this week's episode because we're talking about the Chicago Women's Club.
Yeah, buddy. You ready to lock in?
I'm ready to lock in.
Let's go. Yeah.
Incredible, per always, per usual, per forever. Chicago's Women's Club or Women's Club. It started out with Women's Club. But before we get into the history of that specific club, I was really fascinated with the history of social clubs for women specifically. And, later on in the show, I'm going to talk about like where we were before the clubs even became to exist, like what was the life like for women. But between the 1890s and the 1920s, there was a real large kind of boom of these social clubs for women. Mm-hmm. They started out as a place for upper class, middle class white women to kind of get together and do something because that was it.
They couldn't go to the white man's club.
Right. So. They could not go to the white man's club. And it was really social in the beginning. They would read literature, they would learn about art, they would go to parks. It was that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But it quickly transformed from that. It wasn't that for too long. But there's a lot of like, oh, this was the first. But I think the first documented women's club was started by a journalist, Jane Crawley. Her nickname I think was Jeannie June. She was from New York, and an anti-slavery advocate, Julia Ward. You said Howe, Howe, who was from Boston, and they brought together their friends in 1868, and that was believed to be the first registered women's club. And by 1890, we had the General Federation of Women's Club, and which still exists in DC, and it was basically for all of the heads of these women's club to kind of convene, talk about what the issues are, what are they doing, what's going on, and go back to their respective clubs and kind of like continue that message. And the Women's Social Club.
There's some shenanigans going on. It's tripping your ass.
Windows open, people are outside. I'm like,
It's Chicago.
Sorry. But yes, so between the 1890s and 1920s, with this boom of women's clubs, it started to become more focused on childcare, and not necessarily like finding someone to take care of your children, but more of like children and labor laws. And it was a lot of like what they called civic betterment for the lives of women, because no one cared about women. Definitely no one cared about white women, but for sure no one cared about Black women of color, specifically Black women, probably the bottom of the list.
Yeah, we're going to get into that.
And so, we got into women's suffrage and legislation and changing these laws. And that's why when they had the Federation, that was really important because they had a unanimous, kind of united message. Of course, they were still separated. It was all dependent on class, on race, on ethnicity. You couldn't get in if you were in specific categories. It was not very, as welcoming as you might think, because we still lived in 1890s United States. Okay. So it was a lot of, rich white women or women that had rich husbands, or, like either their families were rich. And so these were the daughters, or they married into rich families. And in 1876, we have the Chicago Women's Club, which was Chicago Women, singular, and then it became Chicago Women's.
Oh, really?
Club, yeah. And it was for self and social improvement, is what it was called. They studied classical literature. There's literature, not literature. And by the 1880s, they turned their efforts to state building reform, and they also worked with the League of Cook County Clubs, which was kind of like our own Cook County League of all of the women's clubs in Chicago, because there was many, and not just Chicago, Cook County. Because there was a ton of them. You started seeing clubs for Black women specifically, and those started towards the 1900s. The Alpha Suffrage Club in 1913, Chicago and Northern District Association of Colored Women's Club in 1906, Frederick Douglass Women's Club in 1904, and Epsilon Delta Phi Sorority in 1911, and so on. There's a few more. Some are still active, but that's kind of like my intro to what are women's clubs, basically. Yep. And hand it over to you, boss.
Yeah. So let's talk about Chicago's women's club. Now, Chicago's women's club, the one we're talking to, was the first women's club in Chicago.
Yep.
Started in 1876 and actually ended in 1999.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump ahead because it ended just because the women felt like the work they were doing was done elsewhere, and there was no need for them to do it, which is a sad way of thinking. But yeah, it's a wild way to think about it, because like we were just going into Y2K at that point. So
it was. I also read that they said that membership was down, and so they couldn't raise enough money.
Yeah, right. So the money was low, and it was just maybe not them thinking that it was
They unanimously voted to dissolve the club.
I mean, I'm sure they started putting their own money into it. It was like, look,
they said, man,
ladies, let's get out of here.
I'm tired.
Yeah. Now this is the one of the oldest women's club in the country,
right?
United States. And when it started out in 76, it had 21 founding members, with the founder being Carol M. Brown, who was the first president. Now, like all clubs in Chicago or anywhere, they're the who's who of people, right?
The rich.
Yeah, women. The rich. And now this list of who's who was absolutely insane in Chicago. I mean, it's funny. The reason why we picked this is because we were talking about, we talk about Women's History Month, and like, I don't know why I didn't think that the women in Chicago at that time linked up. You know what I mean?
Of course. And they had so many clubs happening at the same time.
It's and shame, and we know that. That's the thing. We know that. But like when you do the research, you realize, oh, y'all linked up. Yeah. Like it wasn't like no just
like we know Bertha Palmer was one of the people that really lady managers.
Yeah. And now, matter of fact, I'm gonna get into that because Bertha Palmer, she was one of the founding members.
Yeah.
And what they were mainly known for, like you said, social and civic justice and self-improvement and things like that, care for each other, One of the things that they did, they created the first juvenile court in Chicago in United States history. They were huge proponents of that. Now, they used to meet at Carol's house when they first started. They used to meet at her house. Then Bertha Palmer was like, I got this little hotel. You know what I mean? Y'all can come slide. And then
That's so silly.
That's probably how she said it.
I don't think that's how she said it.
Who knows though?
I mean, there's probably a letter somewhere.
Say, look, we got brownies up in this mug.
You know what's insane is the Chicago History Museum actually has all of the meeting notes from the beginning till the last meeting in their archives.
Yeah, we got to pull up on them somehow. The Chicago History Museum got to rock with us, man. It's been a while. Let's go.
There was someone there that used to rock with us, and then they left.
And then they used to meet at the Grand Pacific Hotel. Now, here's the thing about the Grand Pacific Hotel. Grand Pacific Hotel was the birthplace of the time zones.
Yeah.
And of course, that it burned down. I don't want to get into it because most things burned down in Chicago. That's how it was done. Right now, in its place is the Central Standard Building, which is
an homage to the Central Time.
Yeah, you got it.
That was a fun finding. We found it.
Super fun. There's so much more to the Grand Pacific Hotel that we need to discuss.
Yeah.
Because complete side tangent. Remember when I went to Newberry Library 2 years ago to do the what was it like a year after the Chicago fire?
Right.
In that article, a year after, literally a year later, they have all the buildings that burned down and listed the dimensions, the size, how much it hold, the capacities, all those type of things, and it had that listed in there. I want to go back and revisit that because I feel like there's so many more nuggets there that we need to talk about. Anyway, 1918, they built their own building, which is still standing today.
Yeah.
The building is still standing today. They built it over there on 72 East 11th Street. Now, if you are familiar, that is South Loop, and it is currently owned. It was bought, I think, in the 80s, 60s or 80s. It's two completely different decades. I believe it's the 80s, by Columbia College, and is now home to the Getz Theater. So, yeah, you can go over there and see it. Now,
that building is cool.
It's very cool. So, if you look at it real quickly, you'll see theater. You'll see the entrance to Columbia on the west side of the building. You have a mural that says Columbia College. And then on the front of it, the front of the facade that's facing south, that is only just the theater sign and just blank. But if you look closely, you can see the inscriptions and the design of the women's it's the Women's Club of Chicago. Right there. They have ladies depicted taking care of children, ladies taking care of each other.
Like everything they kind of got into while they were. Yeah,
which reminds me of like the Driehaus Museum.
Yeah.
Inside there, what is the Murphy Auditorium, you have inside of the depiction of everything, which is really cool. So so that was built in 1918. Now, who's who? Who was there, right?
Yeah.
Who was there? We know Bertha Palmer was there, right?
Correct.
We know that Carol Brown, she started it. Jane Addams.
Yeah.
Jane Addams was one of the
Jane
first
Addams
mugs
was
up in
in
there.
all of the clubs.
I feel like Jane, and not including Jane Addams, you was outside the club.
Especially if you're working towards women's anything.
Yeah, you was.
She was.
If you didn't invite, she was like the big pull. I bet she was like, we got.
Well, she was like the one that was considered like the activist.
She was the one that people listened to.
Bertha Palmer was like the money, the connections, the socialites, like all that. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to be reductive of who she was because she was significant.
Yes, very.
But like I think people saw her as like the wife of a rich man and underestimated her.
And she was doing
even though
things.
she had great pull, and she was very intelligent. Like I don't want to be.
And she was young.
She was
young.
And I mean, she did a lot.
I don't think people understand the dynamic of her.
Was she racist? Maybe.
No. I don't think people understand the dynamic of her and Potter Palmer.
Right.
He
gave her whatever she wanted, basically.
And he waited her out until she got old enough. Which is different conversation. Wild, you know. But Not in that sense.
He was like obsessed with her.
He was. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and
I mean, he built her a hotel.
built her a whole damn hotel to win her over when she did become, because she could have had anybody. I guess he was like, not
Ladies,
with my money.
if he
Shit.
wanted to, he would. No, I
Look,
was playing. If
no,
he was
no.
a billionaire and he wanted to,
Hey,
I guess he would.
He was like, look, I'm about to buy anyway. Then he rebuilt it.
Yeah.
On top of it, that's again different conversation.
Yeah.
Back to Jane Addams. If you don't know who Jane Addams is, boy,
Give us a little synopsis because it's okay
that's all I'm going
yeah.
to. Yeah, but I'm just saying, if people don't know, that's wild. Women's suffrage.
I didn't know when I first moved here who Jane Addams.
But that's fine. You're not from here.
Exactly.
But you're not from here. If you are in the United States and
It's okay.
I'm shaming you. Sarah's nicer than I
Damn.
am. I'm shaming you because
I want to encourage people to be inquisitive. I don't want them
Yes.
to feel ashamed that they don't know.
you
You're here now. You're trying to learn.
Sarah's the nice cop. Women's suffrage, the Hull House, which was one of the most prominent settlement homes in all of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And then the American Civil Liberties Union. She started that. Now that, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know I knew she did a whole bunch of things. Also was one of the people that helped found the NAACP.
Right.
Which is, so.
She did a lot. If you're into-
NAACP was founded by a lot of white people. Anyway.
Yeah. We do have a full episode on her. If you're interested in listening to that,
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
you can learn more about.
Educate yourself.
Yeah.
Now, this was and also, fun fact, here's a fun fact. She was the first woman to get an honorary degree at Yale.
Yeah.
Now, the FBI was on her case.
Oh, she had a Dawson.
She should have not had an honorary. Well, who knows what school she elected to go to. Honestly, I don't think she had the ability to go to school, especially with the case that she had against her.
Yeah.
But yeah, the second woman I want to, this is not second, it was like third or fourth woman that I want to highlight and spend a little bit more time on this, because this is a kind of a game changer in Chicago, big game changer. You don't hear these names being talked about. That is Frances, aka Fannie Barrier Williams. Barrier Williams. Not sure, but she was the first black woman to gain acceptance into the Chicago Women's Club. Now, here's the thing. When she was accepted into it, she put in an application in 1894.
Yep.
Right after the World's Fair. That's key. So I'm going to remember that. And then it wasn't until 1895 when she finally got accepted into it. Over 14 months, apparently, for her to get into the Women's Club.
Yeah.
After she put her application in.
That's wild.
Yeah. What's wilder, and here's the thing. She held the only black woman title for 30 years. 30 years. There was nobody else. And your old girl Bertha was in there. No. Here's the thing. A little bit about her. She was an artist. She was a civil rights advocate, particularly for black women. She was fighting for all kinds of rights for black women and black people, but black women, right?
Yep.
So the alignment was there for her to be inside this club, right? She was doing everything that all the other ones were doing. Now, she came to Chicago in 1887, and she was instrumental in getting the Provident Hospital in training.
Right.
Now, give me that book right here.
That was really interesting.
Yeah, so y'all, we did the, damn, that book heavy, ain't it?
Very.
Yeah. We got, a lot of our research from this book here, and if you can't see it because of I see the reflection here, is The Woman Building Chicago from 1790 to 1990.
Yeah. Which is, by the way, is available at every single one of the library branches.
Yes. Worth it. Very much worth it.
It's an incredible. I actually want to buy one because
me too.
I want a copy here all the time.
I feel like they need we got a whole 36 years,
Yeah.
that we talked about.
But this is a book that it's, a single volume that encompasses I would say their claim is that this is like almost every single significant woman that lived in Chicago in those
1790
to
1990. We need another book.
I know.
We need another book. So she did that. Now, if you aren't familiar with the Providence School, the reason why I want to kind of elaborate on this just a tad is because at the time, black women couldn't be nurses in interracial settings, right? There was no training
for them
to be. And so part of her work early on was, making sure this was a thing, right?
Yeah. That Black women could train to become nurses.
Yes, you know what I mean?
And it wasn't only Black women were admitted to the training program.
Right. Yeah. For in Providence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In Providence. So she got that done. She was one of the ones to get that done. And she wasn't a founder, but she obviously using her voice, power, influence. Her husband was the wealthy one. Yeah. Was the super wealthy one, right? So, again, you have a strong man in your back pocket. You can do things,
get things done.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm sure that up your value as a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like,
of
they were
course.
Like, they were like, oh, you got a rich husband. Oh, he must be somebody. Yeah, that's crazy. She worked on the Frederick Douglass Center, 1904, and was a part of on the board of the lady managers in 1890 in preparation of the World's Fair.
That was kind of like a cop-out for the World's Fair to give her that board position, because they said, like, I think they came forward and they said, we need more representation of like Black Americans at the World's Fair. And they said, I don't think so, but you could have this board seat.
Yeah, which, hey, that was
a
good position.
But like, I mean, like Black people were not allowed into the World's Fair all the time. There were specific days. You know what I mean? Like, there was a lot of barriers, and people really like either fought or boycotted or tried to really, push for that.
Now, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And reason why I would say remember the World's Fair is because Bertha Palmer was the head of it. Right. And so Bertha Palmer let her in. We joking about Bertha Palmer being who she was. But, she let her into that group. Now, 1893 was a big year for her because by her, I'm talking about Frances. She founded the National League of Colored Women. Yep. So while she was on this board, doing this, or the power that she had on the board, she was using this power at the time of the World's Fair to be like, hey, look, we need to get, because Black people not getting treated right. We not accepted here. Like, do your research. We weren't accepted at the World's Fair, right? It was called White City for a reason. Not because of the plaster. But just because of the plaster. Y'all know goddamn well. Shortly after that, in 1896, that changed to the National Association of Colored Women. Mm-hmm. She also started the Ida B. Wells Club. Yep. Which was the first Black women's club in Chicago. Yeah. So she founded that 1893. Think about it. You got her founding two things in 1893. The World's Fair. She was just on the board. So you talking about somebody that used the opportunity given to him to make a difference. Yeah.
And I'm sure she was somewhat criticized for taking that board seat. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know for sure, but I can imagine that there was some criticism of like, why are you being complacent?
Look what she did with it.
And I want to give her credit for doing what she did with what she could at the time.
She moved and shake.
I don't know what her thoughts were. I don't know what people's thoughts were, but I'm sure it wasn't an easy time.
Sure, I'm sure it was.
For sure.
I do want to say,
not easy now.
Yeah, right. It definitely ain't easy. Shit, man. I do want to round it off with this because this is really cool. Very cool. 30 years later, after all that, she's still moving. In between times, she was working with, obviously Frederick Douglass. She was working with a bunch of different people, notable figures, right? In 1924, she was appointed to the Chicago Public Library Board. Now, the significance of that was, not only was she the first Black woman to be on the board for Chicago Public School in 1924, but she was the first woman on the board that was a policy-making board.
Wow.
So you talk about, she went from lady managers to running multiple clubs on her own, founding on her own, and then being elected to another board.
Yeah.
But this as a policymaker.
Right.
Policymaker here in Chicago. Man, and she was on that from 1924 to 1926. So, man, I tell you one thing. Frances was so fascinating because today's episode didn't start out like this. We didn't want. No. I was looking at the angle of women and architecture. You know what I mean? Because like yeah, and there's a story there too. But like this one just was more interesting, especially when you find out who was moving and shaking, and how did we get something started. And I have never heard this woman's name before.
Yeah,
I've never heard this woman's name. I'm not ashamed to say that. All the research we've been in and out of books in libraries, and I've never seen that woman's name.
right.
And goes back to last week's episode. Where the statue at, man?
Yeah.
Where's the statue at?
Listen, there's a 900-page book right here full of women that you can.
That book is big too.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, we're gonna talk. Let's take a slight little break. Pause here. So, what was it like 10 years before? And
yeah, so it's not really 10. I didn't go 10 years before, because if we're talking about 1868, 1873, whatever.
We was priming the city to get burned down.
I'm thinking we're getting ready.
Civil War.
I was thinking like 10 years before the founding of women's clubs in general, women's social clubs in general. I mean, women were thought to be like, they just needed to be at home, take care of the kids, birth them.
Bertha.
Birth them. Birth them. There were no real jobs for women, because, anything that was like skilled work, like needlework, it was like not really like, and think of the women that became part of these clubs. So we're not talking about like working class, because obviously there were women that were like maids and like caretakers and, worked in, maybe we're starting to see women in factories at this point. Not really, but, not really at all actually. But I'm talking about like these like middle class, upper class women that got married and have help at home and like they have nothing to do.
Right.
Because they have no role in society at this point. And so that's where we are before these, roles form. Yes, of course, there are exceptions. There are women that are like journalists. There are women that are teachers. Obviously. But I'm saying like the majority of women did not really have roles open for them in society.
Right.
And there were like no education priorities. Women weren't really let into universities, stuff like that. So if you wanted to learn something, you either had to do it. You either got to do it because you came from a wealthy family that valued education, or you just didn't.
Right.
You just read books if you learned how to read.
Is crazy.
Which is insane. But 10 years after, so if we're talking about like the 1930s, let's say after the end of the boom of social clubs, I mean, women had just gotten the right to vote, right? A lot of those, and like, you can't really underestimate the power of creating community, because when people gather, that's where ideas that you feel like are yours in isolation become kind of catalysts for things to change.
Right.
Because if you're just thinking these thoughts, if you're thinking like, man, my husband's an idiot, I think I know better than he does. And like you have no other person to talk to about that. Yeah. You think it's you and only you thinking that, but then you come around other women and you're like, all our husbands are idiots.
Goddamn fool.
All of them. And I think we should be voting. Yeah. And they should be at home.
Yeah.
And so I think,
Yeah.
most of these men were trash. And so, once they started to gather, that's when they were like, oh, so we agree on these things. We don't think our children should be working 20-hour days. Right. You know what I mean? Like we think, child labor laws should be different. We think women should have an opinion. We want these things. And so that was really powerful.
Strength in numbers.
And I wouldn't say that like 100% of everything that happened was a result of women creating these social clubs, but I do see a direct correlation between women creating these safe gathering spaces and ideas developing and
well
things changing.
I'm gonna take this 10-year gap thing a little further. Let's go to the end of 1999, right?
Yeah.
Let's 10 years after that.
Right.
2009. The world is very different now. Yeah. You know what I mean? You didn't have 9/11 happen, right? You got we're out of that like gray area of early 2000s. Now we about to go to 2010. Women are starting to get in position.
unfortunately, the evolution of the girl boss starts to happen.
Yeah, I mean, like it's you know, we got things that every aspect of life is women are making more noise now, right?
Yeah.
And which is a shame to think that like we in today's age, we talk about the School of Chicago architecture, right?
Right.
And we can rattle off all kind of men who have built something. The only woman we talking about right now is Jeannie King. And rightfully so. This ain't nothing. We should be talking about her, right? She got at one point in her life, she's had two of the tallest buildings in the world, and they were both here in Chicago. And but there was a whole other organization of women architects in Chicago well before, right? That kind of helped pave the way. And not just pave a way, but they were smart, they were educated. Here's the position that they can get.
Yeah.
And so it's crazy that it's 2026 and we still talking about like, damn, did you know that?
It's always wild to me when we're talking about where we are. Like, to think like 1930 truly wasn't that long ago. Like, I think my grandfather was born in 1934.
100 years ago almost.
You know what I mean? Like, and he's still around. And so to think that, he lived at a time where like women maybe could be teachers, like, you know what I mean? Like at this, post World War, they're probably like in factories. But it's just like, yes, we're talking about like white women coming together and making these advancements, but then we're thinking about like all the barriers that Black women faced that still, like, even in the 1920s, after the women got the right to vote, Black women still couldn't. You know what I mean? Like we're still further behind.
Think about it. Ida B. Wells. So she was. Frances was also part of the team that kind of helped the NAACP. Also, we didn't mention that, but she created the Ida B. Wells club. Ida B. Wells was the founder of the NAACP, and this is after Ida B. Wells gone.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. She Ida B. Wells Barnett at this point. Right. And she no longer there. But it's just crazy to think that, like, that's how, to your point, we've been fighting this fight for a long time. Women of all kind of, it's been a shit.
Trying to push
My
along.
goodness. And here we are. We still, I'm sure, it's okay if you don't know, because we've admitted transparency. I didn't know about no damn women's Club of Chicago. I don't know why I didn't even think of it. I just knew what the women's individual did, but I didn't know about the school, the architecture club of Chicago, Women's Architecture Club of Chicago, the WAC.
I will say
they could have came with y'all crazy for that one.
I will say this specific book that we referenced a lot, The Women Building Chicago 1790 to 1990, is an insane. And it's such a good, they don't, like, the people that wrote it don't know that we've used it as research for this episode, but I really want to shout them out because it's like a phenomenal encyclopedia or
literally
dictionary of some sort of these biographies of women.
We need another one. Yeah.
Like, I want to buy a copy that we can have all the time because I rented this from the library.
Yeah. It definitely needs to be here.
It's fascinating. If you're interested in learning more about women in general that shaped Chicago's history, and there's hundreds of them, this is a good book to start with if you have the time to kind of like flip through. And the index is great. Like, if you want to talk about a specific topic, you can pop over to the index and it'll help guide you. I'm sure you know how to use an index.
Man, look, I don't know if I got a lot of faith in this generation, boy. Do y'all know how to use an index?
Most of the people that listen to this podcast are our age, so they should know how to use an index.
We see the numbers that y'all know how to use an index.
Yeah. If you don't know how to use an index, it's at the back of the book, usually, and it's alphabetical. You just go and you look for the word.
By the last name.
Well, yeah, but if you're looking for a topic, you could just,
I guess,
yeah. Some other books that I found that could be interesting. Here's the thing. This is what was labeled as like the Gilded Age, right? Which I did not realize was like a controversial label. Yeah, but
gilded is
fake. You put gold over fake shit.
Yeah, right.
But that's the time period. So there's a ton of books and movies and historical fiction novels that talk about this time period and like the things that women did in this time period. The suffragettes. Like, there's so much that I could possibly recommend, but I just pulled a couple that I thought were cool. Jane Carley's book. Jane is one of the founders of the first women's club, the journalist. It's called The History of Women's Clubs in America, and it was published in 1898. You can actually get a copy on Amazon. Like, it's available. Don't get it on Amazon. You can get it on eBay. You can get it on anywhere that you buy books, probably.
Not there.
Listen, if there's nowhere else.
Y'all got
No,
Kindles
but here's the thing. If there's
y'all got Kindles in house.
If there's nowhere else to buy it on Amazon. I don't care. That one book isn't going to be.
Ain't gonna break the bank.
Now I dissociate and I'm in a dark place. Let me come back. The Colony Club by Shelley Noble. It's a recent novel. It's from 2022. It's a historical fiction about the creation of the first social club for women in New York during the Gilded Age. And it sounds really interesting. It's actually on my TBR, so I will be reading it.
TBR?
To be read.
Oh, to be read.
See, I told you all he don't read.
No. The acronyms, boy.
He does not read.
Yeah. No, I read this. Yeah.
I mean, this does. I mean, I guess it counts.
It's reading.
Yeah.
It's reading.
But like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
But you don't read for fun.
Exactly. It's got to be a purpose. It's got to be a purpose for me to read.
I found a movie that sounded really interesting. It's called Iron Jawed Angels.
Y'all say iron or iron?
Oh my God.
Okay,
you're such a bully.
No, go ahead. Keep going.
I say iron and he goes, how do you say
iron?
Iron. I also say mirror.
It's mirror.
Anyway, yeah, those are my recommendations for one movie and 3 books that you can check out. 1 historical fiction, 1 book that's history, and then 1 dictionary, which is the one I'm holding in my hands. I think that's good. You could check those out and see if you like them. And if you want to learn more about any of the things that we talked about that we didn't really dive deep into, you can check out our episode on Jane Addams. There's an episode on... Who else did we talk about? Ida B. Wells. Yeah. You can learn more about her. You can learn more about Palmer.
Yeah.
We did an episode on Palmer.
Yeah.
So we talked about Bertha when we talked about that. There's a ton of stuff on our Instagram. You can actually go to our website and like search.
They like the Avengers of women. Chicago Avengers.
They are.
It was moving and shaking.
They were trying to. But that's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. This was so fun for me to research. I love diving into other cities, and I love a good book to use as research, which we do all the time, obviously. But it was nice to have.
That's one of the better books besides this one right here.
This is a good book. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone you love. That's the best way to support us. And give us a little rating, give us a little comment, be like, oh my God, you guys are so pretty or something. And if you did not like this episode, that's totally fine. Come back next week. We have a brand new one for you, and it's going to be a great one wrapping up Women's History Month. We'll see you then. Peace. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode, and we hope you loved it.
And if you could, please follow us on social media at 77 Flavors Shy on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter.
If you have any ideas or deep dives that you'd love us to do, please contact us at media@77flavorsshy. That's the number 77 flavors and shy for Chicago.com.
If you like visuals, please subscribe and follow and watch us on our YouTube channel at the same thing, 77 Flavors Shy, or search 77 Flavors of Chicago.
If you would like to support us monetarily, go ahead and click that Buzzsprout link in the description of this episode.
And as always, we gonna see you next week. Peace.